At what age does one start to be politically aware? Would you agree that your surroundings growing up played a major role on how you would view and perceive the word politics as an adult? Some of us grew up exposed to the effects of segregation, discrimination from a very early age, but at that time we were not aware of those big words because we were just children. Why the choice of such a topic? Please continue to listen. I will explain. But firstly, I need to say welcome. Thank you for having tuned in to Grassroots Politics. My name is Peggy Mashamba. I grew up in a predominantly black township of mixed ethnic groups. It means our residential area, you would find Zulus, Sutus, Xhosas, Vendas, Tsongas, all ethnic groups being neighbors in the same neighborhood. So my discussion is based on my own personal experiences, what I learned, what I observed from an early age right up to now, which is old age. Other townships during the Apartheid era, they were segregated according to the language groups. We'll have a Zulu area. People who were allocated houses there, it will be families that are Zulu speaking, Xhosa, Ndebele and Swati speaking people. And there'll be a township strictly known as a Sotho area. And then people allocated houses will be Sotho, Pedi and Tswana. And then there'll be a township strictly for Venda and Tsonga speaking people. So the Tsonga speaking people mostly are referred to as Shangaan speaking people. So what were the challenges for us who grew up in a mixed type of a township? Venda and Tsonga speaking household, we were a minority, so we had to fit in to the other ethnic groups. For example, as a child, you want to play with other children, but how will you play with them if you cannot speak their language? So we started learning Zulu and Sotho because those were the dominant language of communication. And the very children that we were playing with, they would laugh at us because you find that you struggle to express yourself, to pronounce some Zulu, especially Sotho words. But they will teach you as they are playing with you. Sometimes you'll feel so hurt because they make a joke out of you. Tribalism was so much promoted during the Apartheid era. And we learned at an early age not to show the other kids to say, you are hurt. The jokes that they make about you, you don't show them. You only cry when you reach the privacy of your home. There were phrases. Some of the phrases are still being used even now, post-apartheid era. They are used loosely. You hurt the next person purposely, intentionally, but most of the time it's unintentional. It's like it's a normal way of talking. It's normal speech. For example, as children, they'll say, go and buy polony. But they won't say polony, it will be amashangani polony. And then you'll ask yourself, and you'll cringe as a Venda or Shangan speaking, Tsonga speaking child to say, why do they refer to polony as amashangani polony? Because they are also eating this polony. Another thing, growing up, we were made to understand to say if you lie, it means you are of Xhosa origin. But looking at it now as an adult is, I wonder how did this start, because it doesn't mean if you are Xhosa automatically you are a liar. But you'll hear an adult reprimanding somebody who was caught lying to say, Chini betunana usungumXhosa ngoku. And I am sure those who were Xhosa speaking those days would feel uncomfortable and embarrassed, but they never showed it because things were taken like it's a norm. Another thing, for example, one thing that I need to stress seriously is growing in this township of mixed ethnic groups. It doesn't mean people hated each other. It's not a case of saying, we'll say that Zulu, people who were Zulu speaking hated us because we are Venda, Tsonga or Sotho speaking. Likewise, there was our parents. They were in good terms. As children, like I said, we were playing together. We were in good terms. It just happens when the jokes starts or ridiculing that you will feel hurt. But the bottom line is there was no hatred as part of the deal. I still remember there will be days where your parents, whether it's your mom or your dad, sends you to another adult in a specific household. I'll make an example about Zulu-speaking people. There'll be some men, not all of them, again I must stress, I'm not painting everybody with the same brush. There'll be one or two people who, when you talk to them, and then your pronunciation of the words is not proper Zulu, and you'll hear this adult saying to you, angikuzwa khuluma ulwimi lwabantu angisona isilwane. And as a child you'll feel so hurt, so embarrassed to say, why is this man saying I must speak a language used by a human being? Am I not a human being? And most people who were Zulu, they wouldn't even learn Sotho. They expected everybody to learn Zulu. They were not prepared to learn other languages. From the people I grew up with, very few can say they learned Venda or Tsonga languages. They were not interested, hence it's us who ended up being multilingual at an early age. High school years, what happens? Now you are a teenager. Being a teenager, you start learning history on a serious note now at school. And then you start understanding terms like what is politics. You start learning about what is a government, a ruling party. Then you start connecting dots. Remember, as you are listening, I'm talking like you are still during the Apartheid era. You start connecting dots to say, oh, no wonder whenever we were going to town, the mode of transport was always a bus or a train. So there were buses strictly for black people and colors. And then when you are in town, there are buses strictly for Indians and buses for white people. Now you start understanding the terms discrimination, segregation, and race gets added to your vocabulary. As a child, you were seeing these white people and Indian people. It meant nothing. But now, as a teenager, now you start understanding we are of different racial groups. So remember, I grew up realizing the tribalism. We are of different tribal groups. Now I'm graduating, added a new term to say racial groups. I still remember during the Apartheid era, going to town with our parents. They'll buy chips as a fish and chips as a treat in town, and we'll be sitting in a park. There'll be an empty chair, and your parents will show you the signage on a chair to say, on such and such a chair, if you see this sign, you can't use that chair. It's reserved for white people. Even the toilets, the ablutions, you are shown the signage to say, these are for blacks, these are for white people. I still remember you connect those to say, oh man, that was discrimination, politics, because at the Rand Easter show, as children, you'll want to participate on certain games, but you were not allowed as a black child. There were certain games that were reserved for those Indian and white children. You will cry and wonder why they can't allow you, but you didn't understand to say, no, those are the effects of politics. Now we are post-apartheid. We are saying we are the rainbow nation. It's no longer about us blacks only and tribalism. It's about all South Africans of different racial groups. I am sure all racial groups, somewhere, somehow, psychologically, we are damaged because of the different experiences that we went through related to politics. There were advantages and disadvantages at different levels for the different racial groups. So, for the younger generation now, post-apartheid, the Generation Z, our grandchildren, what are they learning from us? Are we displaying bitterness? Are we still using terms, phrases that belittle a person of a different ethnic group? With whites, I don't know if I would say ethnic, because even amongst whites, we've got Africans, we've got Italians, Jewish, English speaking. It's a whole different ball game. But when you look at it, it's like the blacks, different tribes. Also with them, they differ, as likewise with Indians. Our country, we've gone through elections now, 2024. Those who are politicians, you are all adults there, but some are young adults, some are mature adults age-wise. The young adults, what are they going to learn from the mature adults? As a politician, are you factual, based on facts, irrespective of race, irrespective of the tribe? Or are we engaging with emotions of the past to say, I was hurt this way, so can we be able to move forward? What do you think? When I started, I said, at what age does one become politically aware? And answering this for myself as a person, I would say teenage years, where now you start to learn about history at school. For me, I would say that was the age when I can say I really started to be consciously politically aware. Growing up, I would hear parents talking about politics, but it meant nothing. I would see white people when we were in town, it meant nothing. People of different language groups within our residential area, it was a norm. But as a child, I was fully aware of tribalism because of the jokes. But at high school, those jokes, they now include jokes about white people. You start laughing at each other. Are we still doing that? As a white person listening to this discussion, can you share what phrases that you learned, that you used to use, that were damaging amongst the very white people of different language groups? Are you still using those phrases? What are they learning, the young ones within your household? Please comment. Everybody who's listening, I would appreciate it if you can comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, just like the video, so that more people can get an opportunity to can listen to this video. Thank you very much for listening to Grassroots Politics. By the way, I'm saying grassroots politics because I'd like us to talk about practical experiences, what we experienced, so that we can heal if we haven't healed. All of us, we've got scars from the apartheid era. The issue is, going forward, how are we handling that? Is racism and tribalism a scar that we can heal from? Is it possible? Thank you very much for listening. Bye.